in the NFL. When did you know that you were done in the NFL, or is there still hope that you'll come back at some point and latch back on with the team? Because it's not like you're not that old. So,
No,
where's your head at as far as that goes?
when I went to the Giants, that was kind of my last deal, and I knew that going in. So whether that worked out or not, that was my last gig. That was probably the last time I could convince my family to pick up and move. So, um, and we went into it knowing that. So pretty much from then on, and then always in your mind. I guess if somebody called, after that, I always would have considered it. But now that I'm coaching and coaching my kids, I've kind of fallen in love with that, and that's what I want to do now. And now I have no desire. It's almost like you have to find something else to kind of move you on from that. And ever since I found this passion for coaching and doing that, I've had no desire to go back. I'm kind of on to the next thing now.
Is the addiction to staying in the game just the routine that you've been used to your whole life? Is it the roar of the crowd making a big play? Is it the routine of it all, the camaraderie? What is it that's hard to walk away from, at least in your perspective?
I think I was more in love with competing than I was the actual game of football. Because when I was in high school, I loved going from one sport to the next. And basketball, I might have liked more than football, actually. That was one that I played more than anything. And honestly, the game of basketball is what helped me transition to playing receiver. I was a quarterback all throughout high school. So then going from quarterback and then straight into college, learning how to play receiver, I pretty much just took basketball to that. So, really just think is the competitive aspect of it, and that's just something I've always been into is just competing with somebody else and trying to beat them and trying to win. So it's the same deal with coaching. It's just in a different way. Um, it's a little bit more mental. Less physical because I can't be out there. So it's really like chess out there.
Is it nice not getting tackled by linebackers and safeties anymore? Is that a joy of yours?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the everybody thinking you're too small deal and being able to take on that punishment and keep going. I feel like, some people break people's will physically. I feel like I could break it mentally, by being hard to tackle and hard to hit. And, when I did get hit hard, I always got back up. That was kind of like my deal.
Your best 2 years statistically weren't all that long ago. What was it that clicked for you in 2020 and 2021, back-to-back seasons with 82 grabs?
Um, Repeat the question. My phone started kind of telling me someone was calling, so I didn't hear it all.
Yeah, well, if we don't make this a three-way call, you can answer that. But
Yeah.
I was asking about your best 2 years statistically, which were not all that
Yeah.
long ago, 2020 and 2021. You had
Mhm.
back-to-back seasons with 82 catches. What was it that clicked for you in those seasons for you to produce the way that you did?
Well, someone finally like allowing me to do what I'm good at. Which I mean, I did a little bit. I mean, coaches kind of um, they try to tailor the offense a little bit and let you do things that you're good at. But Buffalo did that more so than anybody else. I was, and then also they mixed it up for me a little bit, allowing me to do the things I was good at, and then allowing me to do other things to um, keep the things I was good at open. Obviously I thrived routes under 10 yards, but you keep them off balance and keep DBs off balance when I get to run like the deep overs. I could do that stuff because everybody played catch technique on me and was playing for the 5 yard stuff. So anytime someone allowed me to run past somebody and break them off a little further down the field, that opened up all the stuff that I was really good at. And Buffalo did a good job of that when I was there. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity for that, and Brian Dayball for having faith in me and trusting me to let me up my game like that.
They could have used you, the Buffalo Bills, that is, on Sunday. They were backed up in their own end zone, and Josh Allen stepped back in the pocket, 3 pass attempts, 3 incompletions, and they had to punt out of their own end zone. and setting up Houston for a field goal that in these days, I mean, 50 yards is nothing for an NFL kicker. Sean McDermott, your former coach, is receiving a lot of criticism for that and not running the ball and taking some time off of the clock. Did you happen to see that? And if so, what were your thoughts on that final sequence from Buffalo?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to go down and score to win the game. Also, there wasn't much time left. You're putting the ball in your best guy's hands, which is Josh Allen. That's what you want to do in crunch time. Your playmakers got to make the plays to get you to where you need to go. But they were missing Khalil big time. I think that's a big loss for them. Shakir's a really good player. I spent some time with him when they let me go back to Buffalo, and I really liked him. He's a student of the game, and he wants to get better. He wants to improve, and I think that was just a big piece that they were missing. And they don't have a lot of depth at receiver right now. When one guy's out, it's going to be tough for him. So I think he was just missed a lot in that game.
Were you surprised that they let Diggs go, just given the lack of star power that they have? You have a player like Josh Allen, you'd think you'd want to equip him with the absolute best, and they've got good players, but like you said, depth becomes a major issue, and I
Yeah.
think that top end talent as well.
Yeah, I mean, you always need a guy that you can depend on late in the game. So whether, I mean, that's a tough question, right? Because I mean, you want guys that want to be there also, and
Right.
I think Steph was ready to go, and I mean, I can tell you right now, if Steph wanted to be there, he'd be there. They did not want to let that guy go, right? He's a good talent. He's a competitor, and that's the main thing is having guys that aren't going to take. I mean, nobody wants to lose, but there's some guys that just absolutely hate losing and will compete and give you that fire to want to win every game. And he's one of those guys. It definitely hurts that they lost him, but at the same time, if Steph wants to be somewhere else, that's kind of a move you got to make. You want guys to be there. You don't want, I mean, who knows what's going to happen if you keep a guy there that doesn't really want to be there. And they did the same thing for me. That's one thing, if a guy didn't want to be there, they'll let the guy go and still do his thing. And I think that's a commendable thing in the NFL. I feel like there's a lot of egos involved, but Buffalo let me go when I asked to go, and they let Steph go, and I think that's the right thing to do for an organization. Do right by your players at the same time. So, and there's tons of different reasons things don't really work out, or I mean, it worked out for a while, but it comes to a point where sometimes it's time to you got to move on to part ways, and um, I think that's one good thing about the Bills is they let the guys go when if they want to go somewhere else. That's a cool thing because not every organization is like that.
I've only heard good things about Buffalo and the way they treat their players, that it's a top-notch organization in that way, that you go there, you're taken care of, the
Yeah.
facilities are top-notch, the training staff. On a more dramatic note, we saw the way that the medical team handled the DeMar Hamlin situation
Mhm.
and all of that, just top-notch, first in class. Was that your experience in Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, I still talk to the PT that's there a lot. Joe Mika, I still call on him all the time. You can tell he genuinely cares about players, and um, that was one thing that was overwhelming when I got there is how much they took care of their guys, and how much information they have, and in-house you don't really have to outsource to get taken care of, which is different from places I've been. um, so that was the main thing that was huge for me when I was there. Going there, I didn't know how many years I had left, but once I got to Buffalo and how well they took care of me, I was like, dude, I'm gonna play forever. That's kind of how it felt. But dude, I had so much fun playing football in Buffalo until all the COVID BS kind of hit. But
Right.
and up until that point, dude, it was a blast, and it really brought the joy back into football for me. So it was a good place to be for sure.
Well, this podcast is all about training, optimization, and recovery. Can you key us in on a couple of the things that you picked up in Buffalo without letting out all the trade secrets of how they helped you feel like you could play forever. What was it that worked for you?
I'm not one of these guys that want to keep everything to myself and hide the secrets and anything like that. If someone came to me and asked me how I stayed healthy throughout my career, and I was able to, I was very fortunate. I had a lot of people behind me that helped me get there. But um, you know, a lot of the stuff I picked up along the way and learned it later, but wish I would have known it sooner, right? And that's kind of part of it. Part of it is a learning experience, and maybe I wasn't as eager as I should have been to learn that because I didn't need to at first. But if you could ever start doing it early, I think it would help a ton. Um, a lot of it's just muscle activation and keeping everything firing, and there's a lot of ways to do that. And trainers should be able to help you at that level. You know, learn how to do that stuff. But it was a lot of bands, and dude, as I got later in my career, I would warm up. I don't know. I'd have like 30 to 45 minutes of just activation stuff um, the day before the game and the day of the game. And I would do that every day of practice, but um, it's just a lot in depth. It's hard for me to say everything you need to do, but every guy is different. But mainly, it was just hips, glutes, and ankles for me. Once I got all that stuff firing on all cylinders, then I was good to go because that was what I used.
What was the ignorance of youth that kind of held you back from? Was it you thinking that you didn't need to do that stuff? Were you unaware that it helped the way that it did? Is it that sort of? I
Well,
think
well,
every young
I
athlete has that Superman complex.
yeah, well, I didn't need it at the time. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
didn't need to do it because I was always pretty healthy, and I wasn't a big stretch guy. I would just go out there and like run around a little bit and be like, I'm warm. That's how it was when I was young. I never stretched growing up, and then Witten kind of put me on stretching a little bit, and not even as much like Witten would stretch like 3 or 4 times, maybe more a day, like throughout the day. Um, but I mean, he's a bigger, like 260-pound tight end, but dude could move and bend like you wouldn't believe at that weight, which was kind of crazy. And he was able to stay healthy throughout his career. Um, I didn't need to do it as much because I was a smaller guy. But I picked up that as far as just like sleeping at night, like stretching before you go to bed at night would make a huge difference in how I
Hmm.
slept. And just I wouldn't have the back tightness that would wake me up throughout the night. And sleep is key, man. And going to sleep at the same time every day, and getting in a routine helps a ton. But yeah, just as a younger guy, things weren't hurting, and I was kind of like, once it started happening, then I started adjusting things, and my training for the most part, I would do 3 full body days throughout my career and get after it with power clean, squats, and bench, and have different variations on those 3 days. But I would do that 3 days a week, whereas guys we're probably doing two, like a upper body lower, taking a day off, and then upper body lower. Like they usually do it like that. But if you think about it, you're only getting 2 days in, where I was getting three, but a day off in between each one. And I liked lifting that way better. And then as far as conditioning went, I mean, playing in the slot, I never ran routes or did that stuff in the off season. I played basketball and I played pickup games for like the first 6 or 7 years of my career, and that's how I prepared. And that was all like reactive. To me, that translated to football well because I'm reacting to other guys, and there's nothing predetermined, um, and most of my stuff was side to side and be able to explode out of cuts and getting off releases like that. So that was kind of my game. So I trained that way.
Would you think about that while you were playing pickup basketball, like this sort of move could translate, or was that just something that you knew going in if if you play freely, and use that sort of explosion to your advantage, that it would translate? Or so is it in the moment thing, or is it just something that you knew would help and also let you sort of decompress from the football season?
Oh no, I mean, obviously I enjoyed it, and if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not a workout anymore, right?
There you
And
go.
I'd be gassed. I'd play for hours, dude. But at the end of it, my legs would be torched. But in the moment when you're playing, I just know all those things are going to translate. I'm not predetermining any moves or anything. It's all just reactive and beating the guy in front of you, and that translates to one-on-ones in football to me. And then, obviously all the other stuff that you need as a player and as a receiver, especially in the slot, the film study and just knowing how defenses work, that kind of goes along with it. But that's just stuff that I picked up over time and playing for great coaches. My dad was my head coach in high school when I played quarterback, so I got a good understanding for coverages early. And then playing for June Jones in college, you had to read coverages, and we adjusted our route based on the coverage. Coverage dictated what we did. So all that stuff kind of groomed me, to how I played once I got to the league. So all the basketball, the film study, playing quarterback, all that stuff worked together, um, you know, to make me who I was as a player.
You talked about bench press and squats and all of that. Is that would you weight train during the season, or was all of
Oh
your
yeah,
weight
yeah.
training that's a definite during the season?
You have to. So Monday would be my biggest lift the day after the game, and that'd be a day I had to get after it, or my body would feel like terrible the rest of the week if I didn't. Um, I think that's super important. And trying to lift heavy still during the season. I mean, there's days you're not going to be able to lift as heavy as you normally do, and you're going to lose a little bit as you go in the season. Your body's just fatigued and tired, but still pushing yourself and lifting heavy, I think is how you keep from being injured, and being able to sustain your frame of work throughout a whole season. Everything you built up in the off season, if you just stop lifting, all that goes away, during the season, and it's hard to finish and maintain if you don't do that. But I think lifting heavy's important in the off season and during the season.
That's
Big
so
believer in that.
interesting to me because I would think that you would lighten the load during the season because you're using a lot of those muscles while you're playing, and while you tear those muscles down and then go in and get a workout in the next day, I would think you wouldn't want to overdo it that way just to sort of maintain your health. But what you're saying is that it was an absolute necessity to do exactly that.
I think so. Well, there's a method to the madness. I mean, obviously, you don't lift heavy every single day during the week, right? I mean, we usually get only two lifts in, two or three at the most, probably, during the season. So the first day, I would come in on Monday. I would get as heavy as like a heavy lift. That's my heavy lift day right there, the day after the game, to get all the soreness out, keep everything moving, get blood back in the body, right? And then still try to stay strong. And then as you go in the week, you don't lift as heavy, right? But you still do something to keep, like I said, to heal the body up, keep the blood going through everything, just keep everything moving right. But I'm not lifting heavy. I'm not lifting heavy on like Wednesday and Thursday when we're approaching the game, but I'm still lifting a little bit. And then the day before the game, I would do power cleans and stuff with like 135 to kind of just activate everything and get some stuff going. And that was something that the Bills helped me kind of get. And I would do all these med ball throws and all kinds of stuff just to be explosive, and that would help me a ton. Feeling more explosive on Sundays.
You only played one full year with the expanded regular season. How much, if at all, did that change your preparation?
It didn't. I mean, the best way to approach a season is one day at a time. So you don't even really think about it. Obviously everybody's gassed and tired at the end of the season, regardless if it's 16 or 17, But what I learned over time is just staying in the moment and taking it one day at a time, and then you can pretty much get through anything. No thinking ahead.
You took a pretty hardline stance against the COVID vaccine, and
Mm.
you brought that up briefly a few moments ago. I'm not really sure where to stand on it at this point with the way that things have progressed, but
No,
you were steadfast in the beginning. Do you regret making that so public, or do you feel like you didn't really have a choice in the matter because all of it was so public, what players were doing and not doing when it came to the vaccine?
I mean, before then, I was never a political person. I wanted to stay out of it, and I wanted all of it to stay out of football, like all the BLM stuff and everything like that. I mean, that was just a pain in the ass to deal with. I mean, I just wanted to go up there, go to work, play football, and go home and be with my kids. That was kind of my deal. But Um, it was just a crazy time, man. I don't regret it because I did what I believed in at the time. I mean, there were guys like me coming into the league who were told if they didn't get it, they weren't even going to get a chance, which I thought was total bullshit at the time. So, you know, and there was times I was told I was being selfish, this and that, and I was doing it for me, but I was, yes and no, because like I was doing it for the guys who were like me, coming in, because I mean I would have been one of those guys, right? And I just felt bad. I felt like the rookies didn't feel like they have a choice. I mean, they were coming in, and coaches were already telling them that they were going to be cut if they didn't get it. So they made them think it was that or nothing, And I don't know. I just thought that was BS. And meanwhile, they're all saying it's about safety. It wasn't about safety. It's about being a poster child for, I don't know. They were trying to be an example for whoever paid them to do what or whatever the case may be. But it was easy to see that, and it's just like like be genuine. Um, and I just felt like they weren't, and it was all just for show. And like I said, just being the poster child for the vaccine is what the NFL wanted to be, and it was kind of BS. But I feel good about standing my ground. Maybe it shortened my career, but I had a long one anyway, so it was all good. So I have no regrets. I did what I believed in, and I'm proud of that. And that's how I want my children to be when they grow up. So I
You
feel
know,
good about it.
I got the vaccine. Um, Felt like it was the right thing to do at the time. When I look
Yeah,
back, do I regret it? No, but I also don't know how necessary it was. And so
yeah,
for people like you that I frankly probably wrongfully judged in the moment because it was like, yeah, why not? Just go and get it. That's what you're being asked to do. Um, do you feel justified now that we look back and go, probably for those outside of those that were high risk, I'm talking about average, healthy individuals like us, probably wasn't all that necessary as we have more information now. Do you feel justified in that you look back and go, you kind of feel like you were on the right side of that?
I mean, I definitely feel like I'm on the right side of it, whether I feel justified or not. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't really expect anything at this point. People are gonna do what they do, and the crazy thing is, at the time, I wasn't telling anybody not to get it, and that's the thing that frustrated me the most, right? My deal was just let me do what I want to do, right? Um, and people were trying to bully people into doing something because I don't know, they just deemed that was the right thing at the time. Um, but it just made no sense. It's like you're bullying me and telling me I don't care anybody about everybody by not want to be protected, then get it. Like that has nothing to do with me. I don't control whether you get it or not, I just wanted to have a choice in the matter, and I wasn't a high risk, and so I didn't feel like it was important for me to do so. And I damn sure didn't want my kids getting it. They're definitely not high risk at all. And just the whole, making kids have to get it to go to games and stuff, or based on whatever place you were in. It was just, I don't know, it was a lot. Um, and I obviously didn't think it was necessary, or if I did, I wouldn't have been speaking about it like I was. But um, yeah, I mean, do I feel like I did the right thing? Yes. But justified, I don't even know what justification looks like as far as that goes. I left a lot of money on the table because it kind of ruined my experience in Buffalo, and the treatment that I got from it. That ultimately led me to want to leave a place that I loved before then. So it was just a lot for my family, and a lot of crap to deal with that you shouldn't have to deal with playing a pro sport. And that kind of wore me out a little bit. Um, but it is what it is. I don't know if I can get that back no matter what happens. So
Right.
it's just kind of it is what it is.
I would think the justification is just that it's not a mandate anymore. That you don't have to have.
Oh yeah.
No one even talks about it.
Well, I mean, I could have told you that was going to happen, back then. So, um, but I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, I think that people like yourself, you definitely dealt with a lot of shit at the time, And to anybody that has courage in their convictions, whatever those convictions are, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I have respect for that. So I don't know if enough people tell you that, but I wanted to be the ones that did. Have you always been super conscientious about what you put in your body?
It's not really. It was just the way people were going about that certain thing, it made me second guess it and how hard they were pushing something. Um, and just it just wasn't believable, man. And that's really what it was about more so for me and how fast everything happened. It just made you question it more so than that. I didn't even eat like super healthy. As an athlete, I ate fast food all the time because when I ate clean, I couldn't keep the weight on. Like I couldn't. Like I ate all kinds of crap I shouldn't have eaten. I eat better now than I ever did when I was playing. Towards the end of my career, I started watching what I ate, but dude, it really wasn't, I mean, obviously I wasn't putting steroids in my body or shit like that, but I've never been that conscientious of it. I haven't been a big flu shot vaccine guy either, though. Every time I got the damn flu vaccine, it seemed like I got sick every time. So, and then when I didn't, I didn't. So it was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Is it really working or not? And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but because I never was an anti-vaccine person up until that point. So even though everybody claimed I was
Do you
after
feel like
that,
you've
but
been, have you been turned into, and I haven't noticed this, so this is a genuine question on my part.
uh,
Have you been held up as a poster child on the other side now? Is that something that you experience?
what do you mean the
Or
other side?
for the anti-vaccination crowd, do they champion
Yeah.
you now because of?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't want, like I said, I don't even want to be involved in politics whatsoever, So, I mean, I'm not trying to pretend I'm an expert on anything. I just know I just use common sense and all of that, that whole situation. And just the way the media politically everybody was going about it, it seemed like something was fishy. Oh,
All right,
sorry.
you're back. No,
Every
you're good. I caught the end of your answer, so I can stitch that together, no problem. Let's end with a fun question. Who is the Cole Beasley of the NFL right now? Super productive, maybe a bit undersized, and they don't get enough love. Who do you see today that reminds
Oh,
you of yourself?
um, I don't know, man. I mean, he doesn't really remind me of himself. He's his own guy, but the toughness and the grittiness that he plays with, I like Shakir from Buffalo right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, and I just know from past experience being a player, you want to be your own guy. So I'm not gonna say he's like me or I'm like him or whatever, because players don't like that. They want to be known for who they are, right? But just the toughness and how he plays the game and how he approaches it, I like Khalil. But I have experience being around him, so I'm a little biased. But also, dude, I barely watch it right now. I haven't watched much. I've watched the Bills a little bit and I've watched the Cowboys a little bit, but other than that, I haven't seen many people play. I've seen Steph play a lot. I'll watch Gabe. I'll keep up with my guys. But other than that, um, I don't know. I've seen yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched enough of it. I've been focused on youth football right now, man. I'm
Yeah, man.
trying to turn my son into a monster.
You're trying to turn a program around down there.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the time. 10-year pro Cole Beasley, and now a is it 10 and under? What is the official designation of your coaching job?
Well, some people go by age, but ours goes by grade. So it's the third and fourth graders, the Wimberley Texans.
All right. Hey, Cole, thanks so much for the time. Go get them.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Back at it next week with more from the Draft Academy. Thanks so much for listening. I've been your host, Brandon Kravitz. We'll do it again next time.